All right, so I'm here with Olympian Shirley Babashoff, one of the greatest swimmers in American history from the 1976 Olympics. She was dominant in the freestyle events from 50 up to 1500, as I recall, but they didn't have the 1500 for women, although
50.
You could have swam it easily.
Yes.
Any freestyle event she was pretty awesome at. You won every event at the Olympic trials in the freestyle events, right?
Right.
And you went on to swim those at the 76 Olympics in Montreal.
Right.
And you got second in everything except for what?
The 100 free, I think I got 5th.
Oh.
Yeah, it's horrible. But I did my best time. So, and then we, at the last event of the Olympics, our relay team won.
Written off to get second to the East German steroid machine, and they rallied up, and it was one of the greatest swimming moments in American swimming for women. They won the relay, which was not expected to happen at all, and it was just one of the greatest moments, and it's really cool. I think you wrote about it probably in her new book, Making Waves, coming out soon. And what was that like? Do you have previous books that you've written or anything?
This is my first book. And it was really educating, and it just brought up a lot of like old memories and things like that. I really liked writing it. I've always had the book in my head, but I could never get it down on paper. I've tried many times. I'm not an author, so I ended up meeting an author who I liked, and we wrote the book together.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
So I got to write about like my childhood, and then how I got into swimming, and then how I basically learned how to swim when I was 8, and at 15 I went to my first Olympics. So 7 years later. I mean, it doesn't really take that much time, but it takes a lot of effort.
I was looking at a picture of you at the Olympics on the ceremony stand, and you look so young. It's amazing, that
Yeah.
it's childs that are going to the Olympics, and that's what you had to deal with, and know that it wasn't all right when you were there. That must have been a tough situation.
Well, I was in Munich previously too, so I kind of knew like what it was like. But going to Munich, I was a baby. And then going into Montreal, I was this person who, for 4 years, had been swimming against these steroided women, and I did a lot of growing up in those 4 years. So it was a completely different Olympics for me. And then also, of course, the massacre in Munich and all that horrible stuff. But I still consider Munich the last true Olympics as far as the athletes are concerned, because there's so much cheating and steroid use right now, and people are getting caught, and it's just really dumb in my opinion.
We're here with Peter Vidmar, Olympian from 1984. He was on the team gold medal, and he also got the silver in individual, is that right?
All around, and then gold on pommel horse.
Awesome. Just amazing performance. 1984 in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I was a little kid then, but I was all fired up to watch it all. So it's been a long time since then. But in gymnastics, I know from my daughter doing it that it's just an amazing commitment level to do that, and you can't do it without failures and without injuries and things like that. So how did you deal with that? Did you have any injuries that almost ended your career?
I didn't, and I was really fortunate. I had a great coach. Everything was based on building the proper foundation. So you never try that really difficult skill unless you've mastered the skill that comes right before that. And my coach stressed that so heavily that, to be honest, I never really had a serious injury. And I think that was a key to my success, because I stayed relatively healthy. The only mistakes that caused injury were just really stupid mistakes that I made, not adjusting a mat properly and then spraining my ankle because I put it in the wrong position. It could have been prevented. But I was pretty healthy throughout my career. But you mentioned about how time-consuming it is, and that's really the key to our sport. It involves the mastery of so many skills. You can spend an hour and a half on one skill, and yet your whole repertoire might involve 100 skills.
Correct.
And so, as a result, you just have to spend that time in the gym, and it takes a while to get through workouts. But I was willing to do that. You don't want to just do the skill. You want to make sure that you do it and it looks really good. You want to make it look easy. The best gymnasts in the world make these amazingly difficult skills look simple, and that's an artist. That's why they call it artistic gymnastics.
And I just was reading up on it, and I didn't realize it was called artistic gymnastics, because to me it's so athletic.
It is.
It really is.
Especially
amazing.
now.
Yes.
Much more now than when I competed.
Yeah.
The amount of power required to be an elite level gymnast is significantly higher than when I did. I'm not ashamed to admit it. The guys are just much stronger, much more powerful than I was in those days, and yet I was much more powerful, let's say, than the athletes that preceded
Correct.
me. So you just stand on the shoulders of those that precede you.
And so now what are you into? What's your passion in life now?
Well, from an athletic standpoint, I really got into cycling. I love riding bikes. I'm not that I'm any good at it, but I enjoy it, and I love riding around here in Orange County and do a lot of group rides and a lot of rides with friends. I started doing some triathlons and started doing some Ironman races, and just to say I did it, just to do it, to push myself. I don't have the genetic predisposition. I don't have the DNA to be a great endurance athlete, but I really don't care. I just like doing it, and I love the camaraderie of training with my friends and with my own kids. I've done some Ironman races with all three of my sons, and can't get any better than that.
That's amazing.
It's been great.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
All right, we're here with Kyla Ross, gymnast from 2012, gold medalist in the team in London, and local girl who trains at Gym Max, or used to. Are you still competing anymore?
Well, I recently just retired from elite gymnastics, so it's been about 2 months since that transition, but
Wow.
I'm still training at Gym Max, getting ready for my college career at UCLA.
So you're going to compete there?
Yes.
Oh, that's
I'm gonna be a
excellent.
collegiate-
Great news.
Yeah, I kept my college eligibility so I can compete, and I earned a scholarship there. So
It seems like you've been around so long, but in gymnastics, you're at such a young age when you get into it that I know that you put off college a little bit to keep training and see how it went, and now you're going in UCLA and compete in college. That's great. So you were born in Hawaii, is that right?
Yes, I was born in Hawaii.
And then how long have you lived in Orange County?
I've lived in Orange County since I was 6 years old.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
most of your life here.
Yeah.
And gymnastics has been like, what, 6 hours a day almost for a big portion of your life?
Yeah, so like when I was younger, more like 3-4 hours a day, but I think ever since I was like 10 years old, like 6-7 hours a day.
Right, yeah. I have a daughter who's in gymnastics, and she goes before school and she goes after school, so I see that commitment level is pretty insane and
Yeah.
what you have to do. So now you're in a little transition period between kind of club or elite level, and then you're going to go to college, and then you have to find this balance, I guess, with still competing and with doing college. So when do you start? Are you in the fall?
So most athletes come in a little bit early and do a summer session, so I start summer school August 1st.
Leading up to 2012, you're on a good track, you're up rising, you make the Olympic team. What was it like after? Like, was that a hard transition after the Olympics, or did you just ride the high and keep going for a while? How did that go for you?
It was really different after. I mean, we finished London, and then we went and did a media kind of tour in New York, and then I had to come back and go to high school. So
wow,
it was actually my sophomore year in high school, and it was pretty different coming back and just being known in the school, and just everyone just being like, oh, that's
only sophomore year of high school after visiting with the president and doing all that, right?
Yeah, so it was difficult. I had a few rough months in school because I was just gone so much, making appearances and stuff, but after sophomore year I kind of got it back together. And
Did you just go to regular public high school, or where'd you go?
Yeah, I went to Elisa Nagel High School. Yeah.
Excellent. So UCLA, and do you move up there? You're not gonna commute, right? You'll live there?
Yeah, I'm gonna live in the dorms.
All right.
Yeah.
Westwood.
I still haven't found out my roommate, but hopefully soon.
It's going to be interesting. Will it be another gymnast, do you think, or
No,
do they have any specific?
We actually don't room with another gymnast. We just room with another athlete.
All right. We're here with John Howard, one of the most famous cyclists in American history. Competed in the 68, 72, and 76 Olympics in cycling, road, and track, correct?
Nope, just road.
Just road.
100-kilometer team time trial and road race.
He also, for a long time, was the fastest man ever on a bicycle. 152 miles an hour he rode on a bicycle. Record now, I think, is 167.
Yes, got all the facts.
I know the deal. I'm a cyclist, a triathlete. In addition to that, I'm always impressed by athletes that not only succeeded in one sport, but that transitioned to another sport. John Howard also won the Ironman in Hawaii. I've done that race as well. Probably not as fast as you.
I think that might have been the hardest thing I've ever done.
And you were second the first time you tried it?
Third,
and then
Dave
came
Scott.
back and...
Dave was the winner in 1980.
Yep.
The last one on Oahu.
Uh-huh.
And then I won the next one in 1981.
So you won the first one?
First one on Big
Kona?
Island. Yeah.
Wow, in Kona. Wow, that's amazing. I did not realize that. So, John Howard, not from a swimming background, not much of a runner, but somehow he got it together and won the Hawaii Ironman, and that's a pretty elite list to say. I mean, that's... I think a lot of athletes put as much credibility into that as winning a gold medal in the Olympics.
I made that comment to ABC the year I won. I said, this is important to me as an Olympic gold medal. You know, the sport was on a fairly infantile level at that point. The focus has really been on pure triathletes now, and you don't go into the Ironman anymore with a strong sport. You go into it well
with all three,
world class in all three.
Yeah.
So in the day I won, you could still win it as a single sport athlete. Those days are gone forever. You know, to win today, you really have to be good at all three.
Now you stayed involved with the sport pretty heavily all this time, cycling, and now you're coaching someone that's going for the female record in the...
Yes. Oh, you need to talk to Denise Mueller. She is a 15-time U.S. national cycling champion, also a mother of three, and she is going to break my record, 152 miles per hour, and we hope the world record of 167 miles.
Wow.
We've got a wonderful Range Rover, Jaguar Range Rover that has been guaranteed to top 175 miles an hour, and that basically bores a hole through the wind. So the speed record, I mean, all the cycling I've ever done, I'm a three-time Olympian, Pan Am gold medalist, nothing got the kind of press that the speed record did, because, you know, it's a dangerous and off-the-wall sort of event.
So I know it's drafting off of a vehicle, and there's some sort of fairing around it, and the bike builds up to speed. Are you towed up to a certain speed before you start pedaling?
Well, the gear is 430 inches,
yeah.
So you cannot turn
I saw
that
a picture of the bike, and it's got like 2 front chain rings. So are they connected together somehow to create that much
It's a reduction
wattage?
gear. It's a double reduction gear, which gears it down so that your RPM is not so high that the bike starts bouncing around. You want to keep the gear will vary depending on what your final speed is, but in Denise's case, it's going to be a very big gear. She's a track rider, she's a sprinter, and can turn over a faster RPM than I could. So we just want to make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dots, and you don't take any chances.
Well, she's certainly lucky to have all your experience and background to help her like fill those gaps and do all the details right.
Well,
because that's not a perfectly flat cement road that you're riding on. It's a little bumpy, right?
Bonneville can be a little bit of a challenge. Yeah, it's not as it's a fast surface, but there's also a lot of undulations in the salt that you have to be cognizant of, because things can happen very quickly at that speed.
Now, how about you? Are you still competing at all, or still getting out there on a regular basis?
I won El Tour de Tucson in November. I won Boulevard in March, and San Luis Rey in 3 weeks ago. So,
I love that when athletes stay on it and don't just like, all right, I did it, I'm just going to get fat and old now.
No,
You're
I'm
still
on
at
that
it.
game.
That's great.
I still play seriously. I don't see myself doing that much longer, but Masters racing is tough.
It sure is, because
As
only
you
the
know.
good guys
Yeah.
keep in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Only the good guys.
And I'm not. I train with the elite riders, but I'm not racing with them at this point, because I've seen about 100 watts go away since I was 6. 10 years, 100 watts. So that's the reality of it. But I mean, to me, the bicycle is everything. It's therapy. It's blue sky, fresh air. It's all the things that are important. So I'm on it all the time.
I'm here with Bruce Furness, 1976 Olympics. This was probably the greatest moment in American men's history. I think they won 12 of 13 gold medals, and they took like 27 of 35 of the other medals. It's like, it was the greatest moment in American swimming history, and yet it was one of the worst moments, because after that meet, they said, no more 3 from a country. You can only have 2. So these guys set a standard far above everywhere else. And Bruce, you're still into swimming, right?
I do. My kids are all aquatic kids. I have 4 children. They all went to Villa Park High School and played water polo and swam, and I still got one in the sport.
And what do you do for a living?
Well, for a living, I sell commercial real estate for Bercadia down in Irvine, and I moonlight a little bit in the coaching fraternity. I help coach over at SoCal Aquatics.
Awesome. So, and this is my mistake because I still get you guys mixed up. Your brother, also an Olympian.
My brother and I share a unique distinction. We grew up in North Tustin, went to the rival high school, Foothill, and we share the unique distinction of being the only brothers to ever break each other's world record.
That's amazing. And you guys are like the swimming family from Orange County. I mean, you guys were so dominant for so many years, and Foothill still, are any of your records still there at Foothill, or have they been broken?
I'm clinging on to the 200 IM, which is kind of a sad statement.
That is amazing.
Better IMers over there, but there's a couple freshmen that we coach at SoCal that I've imparted my confidence in them to break that record, and I think that probably will happen in the next 4 years.
Excellent, excellent. It's you were in '76, so that was in Montreal, and what did you do after? Did you stay with swimming, or did you move on from it? Were you kind of done with it?
I've stayed pretty closely connected both to my high school swim coach, and obviously my alma mater in college is USC.
Yeah.
And my college coach until just recently, I've stayed in touch with him for many decades.
Peter Dalen.
Yeah. And just by extension, I stayed somewhat close to the sport, either as a parent, as a former swimmer, or as a coach. My oldest son, Kyle, class of 12 out of Villa Park, played 1 year water polo at SC. I'm excited that I've got twins in the middle, boy-girl twins, that daughter swam, and my son, Troy, which is a great name to go to SC.
Yeah.
My son Troy played water polo, and he's going to play water polo at SC, so I'm still sort of connected. And then my youngest son, Quinn, is a swimmer, still active in the sport, and he's a breaststroker, and hoping to see maybe he'll swim at college.
You must be really proud to have them continue on in doing the same thing, because the work ethic in swimming and water polo is just at such a high level. You just know that they're going to end up being successful in life later on.
Well, and I think that's the reason they get kids into sport, and partially I'm sort of biased. I like swimming and water polo, but what I tell people a lot of times, I think that the beauty of swimming is that wherever you are in that ladder of progression, there's always another rung staring you in the face, and you're learning how to, improve yourself in a way to just find another way to move up the ladder. And it really doesn't matter where you are in the ladder. It matters more that you're trying to improve yourself and advance up that ladder. And those things translate into life. People that I sell commercial real estate for a living, the people that I see are successful are the ones that understand how to set goals, lay out a plan to achieve that, and execute on it. And the beauty of sport is it sort of gives you a roadmap to life. All you got to go do is just replicate it again.
And you're going to fail, but you just move on and keep going. It's not overnight. It takes a process to get there. From which Olympics?
72, 76.
2 Olympics. What events did you compete in?
Cycling road race. And actually, I did not get to compete. I just made the teams.
Nice.
But I got kind of axed at the last minute on both, which was kind of a hard thing.
And are you still in it now?
I am. I'm still riding, but I had a heart attack about 4 years ago and quit racing at that time. But up until that time, I had won 7 world championships and 43 national championships.
Wow. That's impressive record. How young were you when you started?
13.
And there weren't a lot of cyclists in the U.S. back in the day, were there?
No. we had a number, of course, but it was like, yeah, it's
Not like now.
Not like now.
Yeah.
It's become a much bigger sport in the United States since I started at 13 years old.
Are you happy with where it's going, or where would you like to see it go in cycling?
I think we could have done without the drug thing with Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
That was disappointing because I think with the people that are in cycling, they kind of feel like a lot of cyclists do drugs, and a lot of them do. I never touched drugs, but I was never put in that position because back in my time, to make an Olympic team, you couldn't be professional, and no American had ever ridden in the Tour de France in my era. That came later. Actually, Greg LeMond kind of opened it up.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fellow that I helped mentor along the way.
Great.
I knew his dad, knew Greg, and it all changed after that. Just Greg really opened it up.
Yeah, he did.
He's the one that really did it. And to this day, they haven't found that he did drugs.
Right.
And he claims he didn't, and I believe him because he's a friend and he's a good guy. But it all kind of changed at that time for the USA. They just took off after that, and Americans are pretty much in the sport. They're in the Tour. They're everywhere now.
Yeah. So I'm here with Denise Mueller. She is going for the world record in the, land speed? What do you call it? What's the official event?
A paced bicycle land speed record
Right.
on the Bonneville Salt Flats.
That's an impressive event to go for. The current record is 167 miles an hour for a man. Is there a woman's record?
Nope.
So
I'll
no
be
one's
the
even gone
very
for it.
first one
And you're
to
going
do
to
it.
take down the guys, huh?
Why not?
All right. That's
All the
awesome.
way.
And I guess you're getting help from the greatest in the sport, right?
Yes, my coach, John Howard, 3-time Olympian, and I heard you interviewed him a little bit earlier.
Yep.
And in 1985, he went 152 miles an hour on a bicycle in the draft of a Streamliner car.
Yeah, I'm amazed at that record, and because it's not like flat cement like this. It's a little bit bumpy.
Yeah, well, it's ultimately very, very flat.
Uh-huh.
It's a granular surface because it's the salt flats, but
Right.
it's also the absolute safest and best place to be able to do these records.
All right. And so, what do you do to prepare for that?
Ride my bike a lot. No, I do ride my bike a lot,
Uh-huh.
but I'm doing a lot of very specialized power training
Yeah.
to build up my power. I'm doing weight training with a specialty trainer up from the Westwood, LA area, Jacques DeVore with Sirens and Titans Gym.
Uh-huh.
He's helping me with what's called maximum overload training to help build the power within my legs. I do work at the Velodrome down in San Diego, and I go once a week to classes down there. And then I also do plenty of racing and more wheel-to-wheel type racing with other cyclists to keep my speed work up.
And you've had several national titles in regular cycling events as well, right?
Yes.
But how different is it, these two events? Like how much, I know how long a criterium takes. It takes an hour to an hour and a half, depending upon how long the race is, but this is, I would imagine, quite a bit of a shorter amount of time, but you're building up to the speed and then you've got to maximize it. How many minutes is that effort?
It's probably going to be no more than a 3-minute effort. It's going to be 5 miles in 3 minutes.
Wow.
And because if you think the last mile, even if it was 150 miles an hour, it's going to be done in 21 seconds.
Wow.
The last mile, when people put it in perspective and go, I'm going to do that last mile in 21 or less seconds.
Right.
But I get pulled up to, it's a single gear bicycle, and I'll get pulled up to about 90 miles an hour, and that'll happen in the first mile and a half. Because it's a single gear bike. I can't, it's like having a car in 5th gear.
Right.
You can't get out of the parking lot and set a record in the 1 gear on that car. You
Right.
have to be able to go through gears. So with that, I'll be pulled, and then I'll be released at about 90 and continue in the draft. I'll always be in the draft of the car and continue to increase the speed. I'll be in communication with the driver of the car to be able to give them up, down, very short, communications to stay in communication of how fast they need to increase their speed.
So if you do a wattage output on a trainer for like 3 or 5 minutes, what do you throw down?
What's interesting is I couldn't tell you 3 or 5 minutes. Well, I just did actually this morning one of my hill tests, and I did just under 300 watts for a 5-minute test, but it was a hill outdoor hill, and I had a bit of a headwind. And then yesterday I did my half mile on the CompuTrainer test, and it was just under 500 watts.
Wow, that's 500 watts.
1 minute 3 seconds.
Wow. We have Wayne Stettner here with us in 1972, 1976 Olympics in cycling.
Actually in the 1980 boycott as well, but I don't know why they didn't get it on the...
It breaks my heart. That was my era of like really being into the Olympics, and then to have us not go is just, it broke my heart to see that. So
Well, it was a truly meaningless gesture not to go, and then of course the Russians and East Germans and other communist countries didn't come to LA in '84.
Yep.
Another meaningless gesture.
Exactly. So you've stayed with the sport. You've continued on as quite an athlete yourself, as well as staying in the industry, right?
Well, I've been at Shimano for 32 years. I joined Shimano when I failed to make the '84 Olympic team, and I've had a really great career there. And now I get paid to ride my bike and test products and do PR events, and I don't have to race anymore. So
I'm in the same boat, doing something I love to do. So it's great to be in that. And your son is quite a cyclist
actually, that's
as well,
my nephew.
right? Nephew.
Yeah,
Okay.
we actually reconned the Gibraltar climb together. He flew back from a stage race in Spain in March, and we rode it together, and we picked that spot as to where he should attack.
Wow.
So we had high hopes for him to do well and finish on the podium, but the wheels came off in the time trial today. He dropped to 13th. He's at 2 minutes behind the leader. And that's unfortunate, but it did get him a ride in the Tour de France. I'm very confident.
Is that right?
Track. Yeah,
oh,
because
wow.
it proved that he's ready for the high mountains to support Bach Mollema as team leader. So that's some consolation. I mean, we always joke that the older we get, the faster we work.
Right.
This new generation of kids, I mean, that was 3 decades ago, 4 decades ago. They're going really fast now.
It's incredible what they can do. And he came off of a pretty serious injury, too, as well.
He was told he would probably never walk again, and so to be at the top of his sport at the professional level is quite an amazing comeback. He still hasn't had a chance to come back for enough power for the time trial. He can climb, but he's... I think in another year or two he could get there, and we will see. But I stay as fit as I can so that I can still enjoy riding and training with him and with any of the other pros, as long as they don't go full gas.
Yeah. Now, back in your day, there weren't that many Americans really on the world scene for cycling. You're one of the few guys that were out there at that time.
Well, actually, Greg LeMond, who we were on the '80 Olympic team with, and my younger brother Dale was also on that team, Peter's dad. He was the first American to really break through. He won 3 tours, had his career cut short by his lead in his gunshot accident. And then, of course, Lance came along and changed everything. And now with all the latest revelations about track and field and the KGB and all the big-time doping conspiracy, you can see that what cycling was doing and what Lance was doing was pretty small potatoes compared to the other sports. I mean, it's still cheating, but it was what everyone was doing, and he was the best. And so, I mean, I've known Lance since he was a 14-year-old triathlete, and he was phenomenal then.
Right.
So it's really unfortunate that the dope testing wasn't adequate to ensure that they could compete fairly. And now with the biological passports, cycling got a black eye for outing everybody, and now everyone, I think, sees that cycling is actually one of the cleaner sports, that they took the first steps to do something about it significant.
Yeah.
But
and now they're even having to check the bikes, huh? That's the newest thing.
Yeah, there have been a few motors, but there's I'm not so sure, because then they're looking at everybody's bike, and that was a woman in cyclocross, junior woman. they still haven't caught a single pro with a motor. There have been a lot of allegations, a lot of talk, but everybody thinks that the only reason I got beat was because they were cheap. You know, everybody knows that they were going to win.
Right. So we're here with John Neighbor, 1976 Olympian. It was the greatest performance of American men's swimming. And that's the good news. The bad news to me was that you guys did so well that we couldn't put 3 in the Olympics anymore after that. And
Changed the rules.
That was a little bit disappointing.
The East German women get some of the credit. They won all but 2 golds that year, and the men won all but 1 for the U.S. And the next Olympic or the next FINA meeting, they changed the rules to limit 2 per country. That is a sad thing.
Yeah. You won both the backstrokes, and you were second in the 200 free.
Behind a guy in this room.
That's right. That's right. And you were on the 800 free relay as well, right?
And the medley relay.
And the medley relay backstroke, of course. And it took a long time for them to break your records in the backstroke as well. Did it take the turn change, or did they break it before that?
They broke it before that. Rick Carey, who broke my records, was very good at what we then called the tumble turn, which is almost a freestyle flip turn. But yeah, technically speaking, he would have beaten me handily.
In addition to being a phenomenal swimmer in the 70s, is also an announcer for swimming, so he knows a lot about the sport and the history of it. And do you continue to announce it all?
You know, I do work a little bit of television, but not a lot. Rowdy Gaines is the voice of swimming, and NBC has him locked up, and pretty much every swim meet around is on NBC. But I like to follow it a little bit. I don't think I'm in great depth, but I still enjoy the stories. And you know, Katie Ledecky is a big story this year. Phelps, of course, and Missy Franklin. But what I really love is how the athletes behave out of the water. That they're a class act. That USA Swimming is producing elegant, charming, wonderful people.
We're here with
Jim Woolley.
From the 1972 Olympics.
76 Olympics too.
72 and 76.
Yeah, I was an overachiever. Yeah.
And did you grow up in Orange County, or?
I grew up in Texas, but I moved to Orange County as soon as I could.
Good move.
I actually was elected the manager and doctor of the team for '84.
Outstanding.
So I moved here in '79 after graduating, and I've been here ever since. Yeah. That's the last thing I remember.
So, how young were you when you started the sport?
10 years old.
And you made your first Olympic team, you were how old?
I was 23, yeah, and that was Munich, and I was a little squirt, you know, at 205, but I
a little squirt at 205.
yeah, I was growing at the time, and so then I competed in Montreal in the open division, placed 4th in Munich, and I got injured in '75, but I made two goals in the Pan Ams. And I got injured, a spinal injury, so I got into chiropractic as a result of that injury, and now I have a chiropractic and orthopedic clinic in Lake Forest.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so not too far.
All right, close by.
Yeah.
Good to know. Do you work with athletes much?
A lot of athletes, but a lot of people just with injuries. Anyway, but my mentor in swimming, Andrew Strank, 68 Olympic, who's here, taught me how to swim correctly.
Outstanding.
About 20 years ago, and that's been my rehabilitation.
So you're a swimmer.
I'm a swimmer now.
I'm a swim coach, so we're all good.
Oh my
all
God,
right.
yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean, I could swim for 10 years, and Andrew can still beat me in 100. So there's something about their stroke that and their technique. But I love it as a rehab. It's a great rehab, so I do use it. I recommend it to my patients all the time.
We're here with Andy.
Good to see you, Andrew Strank. Swam in 1968. Graduate of Ball Junior High School, Fullerton High School,
Right
USC.
Another SC guy. Every guy we've had in here, fight on. What were your events?
I was a distance freestyle swimmer. I was a 1,500 meter guy.
Excellent. You still swim?
Not enough, but yeah.
Great.
I'm not really in great shape, but I try to stay healthy. There's a difference.
Yep. It's one of the sports you can stick with. We can get you to come out to the program. Nova Masters, we're out there swimming every day.
The trouble with Masters programs is they always try to get you to go to the meets then.
And you've had enough of that.
Yeah, I
been
lived
to
in,
the top.
I lived in Santa Monica for a long time with Clay Evans.
Yeah, yeah.
Tried to
Yep.
get me to
Yep.
his program.
Yep.
Trains
SCAC,
used
yep.
to anyway. Used to train at Venice High School.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
I don't know whether they still do or not, but in the 80s they did. 80s
Yep.
and early 90s.
Exactly. So what do you do now? What's your passion now?
I am a shopping center consultant. I have my own company, and we work internationally with shopping center developers, international retailers, and investors, helping them analyze their portfolios, develop new projects, rehabilitate old projects.
A lot easier than training for the 1500.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's a different kind of challenge.
Yeah, exactly. You still cycle?
It's
yourself?
still a passion. Used to be an obsession, but now it's just a passion. But it's interesting. I mean, one of my teammates, John Howard, and Wayne Stettner are both here.
Right.
And we rode in the 100-kilometer team time trial in Munich.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we got 15th place. And it was interesting when I came back. You know, here I was ecstatic that I'd made the team. You know, competed, and people were asking, "Ron, what went wrong? You only got 15th." And that's when I go, you know, that's not what it's all about. And so now when I give talks to people, they ask me where my Olympic medal is, and I say it's right here. I have. These are all medals from people that I have traded pins with from all over the world.
Yeah.
And my favorite one is right here. And it has this little initial on there, GS. There was a Girl Scout I met on a train in Munich.
Wow.
From the U.S.
That's really cool. That's an experience that it's irreplaceable, and so few people have gotten to go through that experience of being on an Olympic team. So it's 15th in the world is still an amazing accomplishment, but the commitment level you have to do to get to that level is just so far beyond.
You go back to the Olympic motto by Pierre de Coubertin, and it was something to the effect that it's not whether you win or lose, it's being there and being a part of it that makes it worthwhile, and that's so true. I mean, and the Olympics is not a competition between countries; it's a competition to see how much better each person can be, and really the athletes kind of help each other. So, and I'll tell you from personal experience that not too many Olympians are doing it for their country. They're doing it for themselves to be the best they can be, and they learn from other people.
Yep.
And I know I had a Canadian Olympian who helped me tremendously in my training.